Hello everybody and welcome to this Train Sim World 3 news video. Today we're going to have a look at the May roadmap that released best part of a week ago now, but haven't got around to making a video. I have now, so let's jump straight into it. So this is the official graphic. If you want to have a look at this, then pause the video here. And we'll come on to my stuff now. So there's not much new stuff on the roadmap, like new content. What we do have is a new German locomotive and the Glossop Line in the UK. And I'll come on to talk more about those in more detail later on. What is releasing next, of course, is Peak Forest, which releases really quite soon. That will come on May 9th, British time. And we'll go into some miscellaneous information. There was quite a lot of sort of random business practice information that came around in this route map. One could speculate that this is a bit of involvement from Focus to try and rebuild some trust with the customer. I'm not sure though. I don't know. Could be, might not be. But here is some of it. So they've announced that there is now a new list of standard features that all new content, whether it's from Dovetail or a third party, has to include. So all of those features on that list, they have to be present before an item can go on sale, which is very good. That should hopefully eliminate most of the bugs that come from, rushed or apparently seemingly rushed DLC. They've said that they're going to now try and squeeze as much gameplay out of a pack as possible. So hopefully that means no more half-assed timetables like New York Trenton. An expansion of the beta testing community to, I presume, try and spot bugs a little bit earlier. Expansion of the production team to accelerate development, and a new internal focus group of players. Now, they've been quite vague about this, but I presume it means like players who aren't part of Dovetail, who get more involved with the internal practices of Dovetail to provide advice or suggestions to Dovetail. Now, most of these, except maybe the second point, I'm a bit worried about the second point because they might start adding random stuff that isn't accurate. But most of this is good talk. The issue is we've had lots of talk from Dovetail recently, but I'm not holding my breath until we see a noticeable improvement in the quality of content that releases. So until that happens, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but hopefully it bodes well for the future. But it's not set in stone. And they've said that after Peak Forest, there's going to be a pause in the release of new content whilst they attend to the following things: Spirit of Steam Physics and AI Spad Patch, and there are a few other bits and pieces involved in that, which I'll talk about later on. Upgrades to West Rhine, the Niedertalbahn, Bremen, and the Middle Main Line, which I'll talk a little bit about later on. Great Western Railway, Great Western Express HST livery designer compatibility. Updates to the Midland Main Line 1938 stock for the Bakerloo Line, the Island Line, the West Cornwall Local Line, and the Arosa Line. I won't talk about them later on because they didn't really provide information, but I presume it's sort of timetable or other upgrades. Add-on manager, so they're going to roll out from what it sounds like, they're going to roll out the PS add-on manager to Xbox and PC, so I'm not quite sure what the benefit of that is. This is a big one, the Trenton timetable upgrade. Slightly smaller one is the Caltrain timetable upgrade, and there's also a reworked roadmap style, which they've been quite vague about as well. I won't talk about the Caltrain upgrade later on, so I'll talk about it now. They're basically looking at adding a few more baby bullet services that weren't in the original release timetable but do exist in real life that just got missed. Presumably it's been on a list of things they want to do for a while, but they never really got round to doing it, which sounds very Dovetail. And they're also apparently looking at reintroducing some form of service to the CN Oakville sub route. Hopefully that includes a sort of unbranded generic Go Transit livery, maybe, hopefully, but maybe not, who knows, probably not. And the final thing is the Free French Content Week. So as I've talked about a bit, of course Dovetail got bought by Focus, and they announced that there will be 1 week in May where all the French, well, almost all of the French content for Train Sim Classic and Train Sim World will be free. So there's a bit more information they provided. So LGV Med for Train Sim World and LGV Marseille Avignon, which is the same route but on Train Sim Classic, and its extension to Lyon, as well as a rolling stock add-on, will be all free. They'll all be free for Train Sim World and Train Sim Classic. And you can keep the content, so that's free and you keep it afterwards. It's not just free for a week and then it gets taken from you. You keep it in your library. And this week is bookmarked for May 26th to July 2nd. So that's the May 26th to, not July, sorry, May 26th to June the 2nd. I can't even read what I've written. It could change, but that's what they've said they're working towards. It's based on whether they get approval from Microsoft and Sony, whether that happens or not. But look out for that. And it will be available on all platforms. Obviously not for Train Sim Classic, because that is not available for all platforms. But Train Sim World, all platforms, you'll be able to get LGV Med for free. So now we'll look at the new content that has been announced. There is the Glossop Line, which I have made a video on, and I encourage you to look at that. That'll be in the card in the top right hand corner now. This comes with a Northern liveried Class 323, and it's a local electrified line outside Manchester. I won't dwell on this too much in the interests of time, because there's a lot more material to cover. If you want to learn more about this, I do recommend you watch my video that I made a few days ago about the Glossop Line. And second, we have a German locomotive. They haven't told us what, but from the code, which is DKK, we do know that it is a multi-voltage AC locomotive and that it's German. So from this, most people have speculated that it is a Siemens Vectron, which I have pictured on the right. It's a German locomotive, similar-ish to the tracks. Obviously, just a Vectron, it's a different model. Probably more similar to the Euro Sprinter. And slightly similar to the ACS 64 as well. As we can see from this photo, they have 4 pantographs, so multiple voltages. I presume only one will work, but knowing the current state of how interdependent the German trains are, especially the freight trains, the freight locos, I should imagine that this will layer onto most routes. In fact, almost any route where there's freight, I should imagine this will layer onto, no matter if it's a Vectron or not. So there'll probably be lots and lots of gameplay potential. So if you like electric traction, if you like freight trains, it could even be some passenger as well, then I'd be looking at any more updates coming to this. But it's probably still a while away for sure. Definitely coming after the Class 700. And now we're going to have looked at some other updates that are coming to other content. Some of this is new information, some of it isn't, but doesn't relate to new content specifically. Most of it is patches and upgrades that the community has actually been asking for, granted. So the big one here is the New York to Trenton timetable upgrade. So one of the biggest complaints about this route was that the timetable was too small. For NJ Transit trains. There were basically only 2 different service patterns, and it wasn't a full timetable. What we have now are, what we're going to receive. We're not going to have a change in the Amtrak timetable. That is already a full timetable, but some of the individual services might have some changes because they have to free up paths or alter paths slightly to make space for the new NJ Transit trains. But there will be a full NJT electric train timetable. If the train that's supposed to run this is not the ALP 46, then it will still be included, but it will be run with an ALP 46. So if it's supposed to be run by a different locomotive, one that we don't have in the game, it will just be subbed in as an ALP 46. Now, sure, maybe not realistic, but no, it's as good as we're going to get, and honestly, I'd rather it than just an empty pen station. So these will be over all parts of the main line. So it includes electric trains that are timetable out of Penn and Hoboken. Of course, we can't drive them into Hoboken because that's not modelled, but we'll be able to drive all of those services. Every electric train that runs over any part of New York to Trenton, the main line, we will either have as an AI service or as a playable service. It doesn't include any diesel trains or the Princeton Dinky, which is on the lower part of the line. And I'm not sure if it includes Arrow 3 services. It also doesn't include any AI traffic at Secaucus Junction. And as a result of this, the NEC Trenton timetable will become the largest out of all of the US routes, which is something that's going to be really cool to see. Next, we've got the Spirit of Steam upgrade. This one's quite a large one. It includes physics upgrades to both locomotives, scenarios that haven't been made completable, so a few of the scenarios and a few of the tutorials weren't completable previously. It includes a fix on certain derailments, such as when you're coupling or when you're going up certain steep gradients. The volume of the safety valve has been lowered, which means it's slightly less realistic, because those things are fucking loud in real life. If you've ever stood next to a steam train that's fired up but not moving, you will know how loud they are. The headlights on some of the passenger services that were bugged previously are now fixed, and the scenario planner formations for some of the freight trains have also been fixed. Now, these upgrades will release at the same time as Peak Forest, and they will also be layered where applicable to the West Cornwall Steam Rail Tour. So that should be good. It should fix a lot of the problems that have gone unpatched since Spirit of Steam's release, and all of these post-release fixes that have been sort of quick fired out now. It bodes well for the future. So, you know, perhaps things are changing since Focus have come under Dovetail, or Dovetail has come under Focus's control, but perhaps it could be unrelated. Next, we've got Peak Forest, so there's a little bit of an update on this. Of course, if you want the full context for what Peak Forest is, what it entails, then also go watch my videos on this. I've made a few already, maybe, I think 2. They'll also be linked in the top right in a card. So see them. And this, we also now know that it includes local and express passenger trains with the LMS Jubilee 6F and Mark 1 coach, which have been ported from Spirit of Steam but are not dependent on it. It includes shunting and banking of limestone trains with the 8F and 4F. It includes yard shunting with the 4F, local freights with the 8F, and light loco moves with all 3 locomotives. And this route will have 110 services with 140 AI services. So a reasonably large timetable, about 10% of the size of the busiest one in the game, which, you know, is reasonably generous considering it's a regional line that's predominantly freight from what I can understand. Now, there's not too much of an update on the happenings of the Class 700, but what we do have here is a little bit of a view inside the cab, so we can see They've modelled the TMS, what appears to be. It's a very, very German train, this one. Very German. You can see all of the, it's a very German control setup, just some little rotary knobs. Whereas you look at other British trains and they've all got big, very tactile controls. This is just all buttons, little buttons that are all the same, just maybe a slightly different colour. I do like that the screens are textured. That was something that previously only mods could give. So it looks like they're working on that. Some of the textures still aren't really working. I believe that RLU8 is an alpha texture. That just hasn't been fixed in yet, although it could be final. I'm not too sure, and I presume that RLU diamond on the side of the cab is also an alpha texture. But again, I'm not sure. That could be final, although I doubt there's a huge purple and orange thing there in the middle of the driver's desk. That seems something that would definitely be a note to devs. Still, as a reminder, this is only for Southeastern High Speed, not for the Brighton Main Line, and it's only the short variant of the Class 700. Also, we have some Midland Main Line upgrades. This will include an expanded timetable, which does include as well more freight services. They are re-signalling some parts of the line. They are adding environmental fixes to some parts of the line. They are upgrading and updating the stations. Some of the bridges they will be completely remodelling from the ground up, adding new buildings around the route that are also being remodelled from the ground up. Significant logic and other upgrades to the 158. There's a great forum post about that, and I encourage you to have a look about it. It won't be hard to find in the Trains in World discussion section. There have been also performance enhancements to the route generally, fixes to the NPCs, which have been lurking with just heads sitting on the floor and blocking up cab doors and the such. Updated coupling logic and a unit number fix for the HSTs. So it looks like Skyhook are actually genuinely concerned about the quality of their product, and the fact that they're willing to go out and add all of these post-release fixes does bode well for them, and they've got a lot of more respect from me, because originally I said this route wasn't very good. Hopefully after these fixes the route will be much better, especially those environmental fixes and everything else. I really hope that the re-signalling and the environmental fixes does a lot, and also of course everything else, but the environment and the re-signalling should be the big ones from a gameplay perspective. And finally, an update for Just Trains. We don't know what they're building yet, but they are building something. They're going full swing with their route building. They've done 26 out of the 46 miles so far, and they've been building some new custom assets such as signal boxes, distinctive buildings, churches, and hugely differing station designs. They claim that their route looks very nice, but yeah, we'll wait and see. And that's about it for this month's roadmap. I encourage you to have a look at some of my other videos. I encourage you to have a look at the official article, and I encourage you as well to have a look through the forums. There are many other people who are much more knowledgeable than me who are talking about these things and discussing what these possible routes could be. I really do encourage you to get on there. Also, have a look at the website. I may or may not have put out my weekly roundup on the blog post. If I haven't, then check back in a day or so's time. And that's about it. Have a lovely day. Thank you for watching. This has been quite a long news video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.